I have to educate them. I have to re-educate these people because they don't understand things properly. They say, oh, inflation bad. You're like, really? Then why did the Bitcoin price go up the most when the inflation was the highest? Windows shutting down, gray face, NPC, JPEG. Like,
So I
other,
wanted to open up another question here.
yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, please.
So, uh, so because you were talking about the Ethereum blockchain and
Yep.
you were building the hex token at the time,
Yep.
and of course, I don't think you could foresee there was going to be all these big gas fees
Well,
and
no, I
gas
knew that
tokens
it could
being
be a possibility, which is why I said if it ever started to suck, I'd fork the network. And then I just did what I said I would do. So,
So that goes into my other one. So some people at the beginning of Hex, some people have criticized you about designing an OA that holds most of the supply of Hex tokens.
yep.
What is the function of the OA?
Well, it's really simple. Every single profitable endeavor in the history of man has had extremely centralized ownership, period. So in the United States, 1% of people own 50% of the stuff. In a football team, one guy calls the shots. In a family, very often one guy calls the shots. In governments, one guy has the nuke button. Comes down to one guy, extremely centralized. Facebook, majority of the voting shares, tons of the non-voting shares, Zuckerberg owns them. Elon Musk, 20% he owns. Every single ERC20, massively centralized ownership. Bitcoin itself, massively centralized ownership. 42% of all Bitcoin sits in 2,300 addresses and has for years. And that number's been getting worse over time, not better. The centralization in addresses that have over 1,000 coins in them just keeps going up. So if you're noob, as most people in crypto are, compared to me anyway, you think that decentralization is the best. Let me prove for you that that's not true. How's the Amazon stock price? Amazing. And what has Amazon done? Total vertical integration. They own the servers. They write the server software. They own the shipping hubs. They have their own product lines. They have their own billing. Total vertical integration for cost efficiency. Now, what's the opposite of vertical integration? Decentralization. And so because blockchains are decentralized, you have the most expensive writes to the database, the lowest throughput. They suck so bad you can't ask them to wake you up in the morning. That's how poor the blockchain is. It can't even wake you up in the morning. You have pitiful amounts of computation. Most people's cell phones can outperform the entire network's computational ability. But we're willing to incur all of that horror and all that suck to have censorship resistance. And so blockchains are only as useful as they are censorship resistant. And so people confuse this because they're noobs. And they think, so censorship resistance and decentralization is useful in the network, and therefore it must be useful in the ownership structure. And you're like, no, actually, go look at the charts. The more centralized things do better on price performance. And what you would consider to be the most decentralized thing, which would be Bitcoin, gets murdered by everything. Like from the COVID dip, Ethereum went up 3 times as high as Bitcoin did. Bitcoin did an 18x and Ethereum did like a 50x. And Hex did like hundreds and thousands of X's. And when you have an S curve of adoption, people think that they're early buying into Bitcoin after the world's richest guy already bought, after a nation state already made it legal and bought, after it's on the world's largest market, the CFTC futures market, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. You're not early in Bitcoin. It's 13 years old, guys. And that's the reason the price chart is falling over, and you've been down for 11 months now. The price is down for 11 and a half months now because you're at the top of an S-curve. Now, will the price make new all-time highs? Yes. Will it get outperformed by almost everything else in crypto? Yeah, pretty much. Particularly things that have product market fit. There's a lot of scams out there. If you buy a scam and you hold it for longer, you're still sitting at zero and you lose all your money or get rug pulled. But if you buy a real innovative product that has product market fit, it has a walled garden, it has a vibrant, enthusiastic, you could even say zealotous community, you're very likely to have good price performance. I mean, the best time you could ever buy Bitcoin was Satoshi owned all the coins. The best time you could ever buy Bitcoin was there's no liquidity and there was only on one exchange. When everything sucked the most was the best time to buy Bitcoin or Facebook or Amazon or basically any of these things. But people get it backwards. They're like, oh, Bitcoin's more popular. Yeah, so now you'll make less gains. Good job. Learn how to speculate, you know?
So my next question, what is PulseChain and why are you giving people a free copy of the ERC20 token?
Well, for me to save hexagons from high gas fees, because the code is immutable and can't be changed, And it's already extremely gas optimized anyway. It's got bitwise shifts, bit packing, caching built into it. The only thing you could do is give people a new free version on a new superior network. And that's also the way that McDonald's scales. So did they try and build a bigger and bigger and bigger McDonald's? No, they just build more of them. Did they try and build a bigger and bigger and bigger gas station? No, they just build more of them. Horizontal dumb scaling is how most effective things in the world are scaled. Schools, do they try and build a bigger and bigger and bigger school? No, they build more schools. So, it's obviously the right solution. And I'm very happy and very lucky that so many other people missed the idea that you could have the world's largest airdrop, because the overhead is very similar. The overhead of launching a new network and choosing to launch a new network with the existing system state, they're kind of similar. And so why wouldn't you give everyone the largest free airdrop in the world and prevent them from having to use bridges and be able to deload the network, which is overloaded on Ethereum? Like, it's just win, 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 win. Like, it's beautiful. And the fact that, like, also as a liquidity provider, as a liquidity provider, you want a lot of volume, but no price movement, because then you don't have impermanent loss. Or I guess if, you could say if both things raise in price, that's okay too. But when one thing raises in price versus the other thing, as a market maker, as a liquidity provider, you sell the thing that went up and you end up losing. But if you imagine bridging in your ERC20s to the network and pairing them with the free PRC20 copies, now your impermanent loss, after the market figures out like a reasonable ratio, it's very likely to be less than like crypto versus dollar. It's very likely to be like these kind of things move because they're bonded by the liquidity in their pairs. It's called Hart's Law. If you want to Google it, I invented it. It's why all the prices in crypto go up and down at the same time. It's not because there's some genius like fund making that happen. It's actually a side effect of the liquidity in pairs between two different coins bonding their prices together. So if you can exchange one Bitcoin for one Ethereum and Bitcoin goes up versus the dollar, Ethereum also goes up versus the dollar, because you can just swap your Ethereum for Bitcoin because there's liquidity in the trading pair. And then if one goes down, they both go down, because now where you could have swapped it for something, now you can't swap it for something that was more valuable. So it's I liked that particular discovery of market analysis enough to stick my name on it. That's how happy I am about it.